Go take a look at your lawn later today, because there are 11 things you're most likely doing right now that are slowly killing your grass. The frustrating part is that the damage has already been done long before the first brown patch ever shows up on top. It starts down in the soil weeks before you'll ever see it, and by the time you're standing out in the yard looking at thin, yellow spots and crabgrass coming up through the bare dirt, you're already 2 months behind on saving it. From watering your lawn every morning all the way to the way you're mowing it, which is actually cooking the roots underneath without you knowing, these are the mistakes that decide whether your grass makes it through August or not. My name's Lenny, and I've spent the last 20 years working on lawns, and I'm going to walk you through every single one of these mistakes and exactly what to do instead of each one. A couple of these are going to change the way you look at your own yard for good, and at least one is very likely the reason your lawn didn't make it last summer. How's your grass looking out there right now? Let me know in the comments. Alright, let's start with watering, because it's honestly the quickest way to kill a lawn without ever knowing what went wrong. Watering your grass a little bit every single day is doing you no favors at all. When you sprinkle a little water on the surface every morning, the roots stay right up in the top inch of the soil, and the second that inch bakes dry over a hot weekend, the whole lawn folds up on you in a couple of days. I myself water no more than once a week, and in the spring and the fall, I'll often stretch it out even longer than that. The better move is to fight that urge and instead give your lawn a good deep soak every so often. Think of it like the difference between two neighbors during a bad heat wave. The one who watered a little every morning has roots sitting right up in the top of the soil, and when that layer bakes dry, his whole lawn collapses in a weekend. The one who watered deep and walked away has roots reaching down where the soil stays cool and damp, so when the top layer dries out, his grass just shrugs it off and keeps right on going. Now let's come back up above the soil for a minute, because there's another way people are killing their lawns that you can actually see the moment it happens. When you let your grass grow tall and shaggy for 2 or 3 weeks and then hack it all the way back down in one go, you take off the healthy green top and expose a dead brown layer of old leaf material underneath, which is now blocking water and air from getting into the soil at all. That's when you get that washed out, dingy, gray looking lawn you're staring at right after a big cut, standing there wondering why the yard actually looks worse now that you finally mowed it. The better move is to stop cutting so low and so seldom in the first place, so that dead layer never gets a chance to build up. If mowing is so good for your lawn, why does yours look worse every single time you run the mower? 9 times out of 10, it's not the mowing itself, it's the blade. A dull mower blade doesn't cut grass, it tears it. Go take a look at your lawn a day after you mow it, and if the tips of the blades are frayed, ragged, and turning brown at the top, you're not cutting your grass anymore, you're chewing on it. Every one of those torn blades is an open wound sitting out in the sun, losing moisture and inviting fungus in through the top, and the plant burns a huge chunk of its energy just trying to heal itself instead of growing. The better move is to sharpen your blade at least once a season, and twice if you've got a big yard, and it takes maybe 20 minutes with a file at the workbench. Mowing only once every 10 days is honestly one of the fastest ways to hand your lawn over to the weeds. When you let the grass grow tall and thin between cuts, the plant reaches for the sky instead of filling in sideways, and that leaves bare soil showing between the blades. Every square inch of bare soil is an open door for a weed seed to land, take root, and take over. On the other hand, when you mow every few days, every cut acts like a light pruning that pushes the plant to grow wider and thicker instead of taller. And after a few weeks, the whole lawn fills in so tight there's nowhere left for a weed to sneak in. One lawn gets cut every 10 days, and it's thin enough that you can see dirt down between the blades, and every one of those gaps is a landing pad for the next weed that blows in. The other gets cut every 3 or 4 days, and it's grown in so tight there's nowhere left for anything to get a foothold. Same yard, same grass, same soil, and the only thing that changed was how often somebody ran the mower. Little details like that are the whole game with a lawn, and I got tired of watching people spend hundreds at the garden center every spring and end up right back where they started. So I put together a step-by-step blueprint into a book. It'll get you to a greener lawn with the weeds gone for good in 30 days, and it walks you through what to buy, where to get it, and exactly when to put it down. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link below to grab your copy. Now I want to talk about the overall health of your lawn and I'm going to get into something most fertilizer companies would probably rather I didn't. Most of the fertilizer people are buying off the shelf feeds the grass and does almost nothing for the soil underneath. And some of the cheaper synthetic stuff can actually burn out your soil biology over the long run, which is the tiny living network that keeps your lawn alive in the first place. It took me years to really understand that fast green flush you see the week after you fertilize is the fertilizer pushing the plant. And it's not health, it's more like a sugar high. And every one of those pushes takes a withdrawal out of a soil account you were never depositing into. Sooner or later, that account runs dry, and then you're chasing that green color with more and more fertilizer every year just to get the same result. The better move is to start thinking about your lawn as a whole living ecosystem instead of just a plant you're feeding. Treat the dirt underneath the way a good gardener treats a raised bed before anything goes in, whether that means a good compost top dressing in the spring and fall, an organic slow release feed, or something like a compost tea if you want to get a little more involved. When you've got rich, living dirt underneath, everything up top grows better and it grows with a lot less effort from you. This one's a personal preference of mine, but I'd much rather spend my time and money feeding the soil and the tiny life inside it than dumping food on the green stuff on top, because good soil keeps paying you back for years. Now that you're thinking about your lawn as an ecosystem, let me show you one of the strangest things people do to sabotage that ecosystem, and they do it every single weekend without thinking about it. I'm talking about bagging your grass clippings and hauling them to the curb. Those clippings are somewhere around 1/4 nitrogen by weight, and they're basically free, slow-release fertilizer that's perfectly matched to your lawn because it came out of your lawn. Every bag of clippings you drag out to the curb is a bag of fertilizer you paid the water bill to grow, cut off, and threw straight in the trash. Think about what you're actually doing when you bag. You're growing grass, cutting it off, hauling it away, and then driving to the store to buy a bag of nitrogen so you can spread it back on the empty spot you just created. It's a loop that really only makes sense to the fertilizer company. A lot of people ask me if leaving the clippings behind is going to build up thatch and cause a problem down the road, but that's honestly a myth. Grass clippings are around 80% water and they break down within a few days. And thatch actually comes from the roots and stems of the plant, not the leaf tips you're cutting off the top. So the fix here is about as simple as it gets. Switch your mower over to mulch mode if you've got that setting, or just take the bag off altogether and let the clippings fall where they land. You'll cut your fertilizer bill in half within a season, and your lawn will thank you for it. This ties right into another thing people get wrong the moment a patch of their lawn starts to look like it's dying. When your grass browns out in the middle of a heat wave or a long dry stretch, most of the time it's still alive down at the base, and it's just resting. The plant is being smart with what it has. Under all that heat and drought stress, it shuts down the green growth up top to save energy, while the crown and the roots stay alive and healthy down below, waiting for cooler, wetter weather to come back around. An animal does the same thing when it hibernates through the winter, slowing everything down on purpose to get through a rough season. Here's the mistake I want to steer you away from. When you see that brown lawn and panic and start dragging the sprinkler out and dumping extra water on it to bring it back, you can actually do more harm than good, because you might pull the plant out of that resting state at the wrong time and load a whole new round of stress on top of what it's already dealing with. On top of that, all that extra water sitting on a stressed lawn is an open invitation for fungus to move into the crown, which is the one part of the plant that was keeping the whole thing alive. The better move is to let it rest and keep up your normal watering and mowing until the weather breaks on its own. That brown grass usually knows exactly what it's doing. Now, it does get a little tricky, because sometimes a brown spot really is done for good, and knowing the difference is what saves you from wasting a whole summer on a patch that was never coming back anyway. There's another one that catches almost everybody off guard, and it explains why some lawns just refuse to respond no matter what you throw at them. Your grass will only actually absorb nutrients when the soil pH sits inside a pretty narrow window, and for most lawns, that window is somewhere around 6.0 to 7.0. Above or below that, and the fertilizer you're putting down might as well be sitting on concrete, because the plant literally cannot take it in. So if you're watering right, mowing right, and feeding on a good schedule, but the lawn still looks tired and thin no matter what you try, there's a very good chance you've never once tested your soil, and you're pouring food onto a plant that just can't eat it. This is the one that took me the longest to figure out on my own property. I spent 2 whole years wondering why one of my back sections wouldn't fill in no matter what I did, and it turned out the pH had drifted all the way down to about 5.2, which is way below where grass can function. Once I limed it and got the pH back up where it belonged, the whole area came back within a single season. The good news is that fixing this is one of the cheapest and simplest things on the whole list. You can grab a soil test kit for a few bucks at the hardware store, or send a sample off to your local extension office for a proper read on it. If the pH is too low, lime will bring it up, and if it's too high, sulfur will bring it down. One correction, done in the fall, and everything else you're already doing suddenly starts working the way it was supposed to. Now, for those of you who feel like you're constantly fighting your lawn, putting in twice the effort your neighbor does, and somehow ending up with worse results, I've got something for you, and it's very often the real root of the whole problem. A lot of the time it comes down to growing the wrong type of grass for where you live. Not every grass does well everywhere. Some are built for hot southern climates and some for the cooler northern ones, and if you've got the wrong type for your region, or even the wrong type for one shady corner of your yard, you're going to be fighting the plant itself before you even pick up a hose. You can be doing every single other thing on this list absolutely right and still barely make any progress because you're working against the grass the whole time, and the invisible cost of that is a lot of wasted weekends and a lot of money spent on a plant that was never meant to grow in your yard in the first place. The move here is to find out which grass actually wants to grow in your specific region, your climate, and even those little pockets of your yard, like the deep shade under a big tree. Once you know that, you can slowly overseed toward the right grass over a season or two, and little by little your lawn gets easier to care for and better looking at the same time. A microclimate, by the way, is just a small area in your yard where the conditions are different from everywhere else, like that one damp, shady spot near the fence that never seems to fully dry out. Now back to mowing for a minute, because there's one more piece that pulls a lot of what we've talked about together. Most grass types, though not quite all of them, look their best and perform their best when you mow them at the highest, setting your mower deck will allow. Cutting on the short side, that classic golf course look that a lot of homeowners chase is one of the fastest ways to cook your roots alive in the middle of summer. When the blades are that short, the sun hits the soil directly and drives the soil temperature 10 or 15 degrees higher than it should be, and the roots underneath actually start to cook. On top of that, there's barely any leaf surface left up top for the plant to photosynthesize with, so it can't produce the energy it needs to recover. The better move is to raise that deck up as high as it'll go, so the taller blades shade the soil, keep the root zone cool, and hold moisture in the ground where it belongs. There's a catch to respect here, though. Cutting tall only works if you keep your mowing frequency exactly the same. It is not a free pass to start mowing less often, so please don't take this as permission to let 3 weeks slide by between cuts. A lot of homeowners actually do the exact opposite of what's ideal, cutting their grass way too short and then only getting out there once every couple of weeks, and that combination is about as rough as it gets on a lawn. There are a small handful of grass types that genuinely do better cut short, but they really are the exception. So for most of you watching, taller is the way to go. And that brings me to the last one on the list, and it's honestly a big one, because it explains a lot of those stubborn bare spots you can never seem to fill in. Not every grass can spread out sideways and repair itself, and some of them can't do it at all. The spreading types, like Kentucky, bluegrass, Bermuda, and zoysia, will creep across bare soil and close up an open patch on their own over time. The bunch-type grasses, like tall fescue and perennial rye, grow in place in little clumps, and they will never travel over to fill a gap for you no matter how long you wait. So if you've got a bunch-type grass and you're standing out there waiting for those dead circles to grow back in on their own, you're going to be waiting forever. And every single one of those bare spots is a landing pad for the next weed seed that blows through your yard. Crabgrass, dandelions, and clover will march right in and take that ground for you. And once they're rooted in, you're looking at 10 times the work to get them back out than it would have taken to just fill the spot in the first place. The easiest way to figure out which type you've got is to dig a small hole somewhere in your lawn and fill it back in with sand or plain old dirt. With a spreading grass, the plants all around it will slowly creep in and close that spot up on their own. With a bunch type grass, it's just going to sit there as a bare patch pretty much forever. You've almost certainly seen this play out already without knowing what you were looking at. In those dead circles where the dog keeps peeing, the torn up patch where somebody dug up a sprinkler head, or the spots that died off during a dry summer when the sprinklers weren't running. So the thing to do here is to figure out what type of grass you've mostly got growing out there, and if it turns out you've got a bunch type, plan on reseeding those bare spots by hand every spring. It takes 10 minutes with a rake and a bag of seed, and it's the difference between having an actual lawn and having a weed field with some grass in it. And if all of this feels like a lot to juggle at once, it's exactly what my book can help you with. You can grab it over at fixyourlawnin30days.com. It's a straight step-by-step blueprint to a greener lawn with the weeds gone for good in just 30 days, and it takes you through what to buy, where to get it, and when to put it down. Scan the QR code on the screen or click the link below to grab your copy. None of this is complicated once somebody actually takes the time to walk you through it, and I really hope a few of these made you look at your own yard a little differently than you did 15 minutes ago. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Hit the like button and share this video with whoever's lawn is dying right now. I'll see you in the next one.